The Planet American English School. Callan Method, Level 4. Homework. Technique 1. Part 1. New words and expressions. A spouse. To draw. Letters of recommendation. To be as an American as apple pie. Part 2. Listen and fill in the blanks. What do you think about your teacher? First, my teacher's very good. He always tries and tries and tries and lets students try to succeed in their study. He will do almost anything to help a student who really wants to succeed. He is very hardworking. He works 80 to 100 hours a week, including both Saturdays and Sundays. His spouse and family complain, with good reason, that they rarely see him. He also draws the most students and gets the most requests for letters of recommendation. He always prepares the lesson very carefully before he teaches us. He really understands students, what students want, and all the weak and strong points of each student. He also remembers all the students' names. Second, he is very intelligent. He graduated from 3 universities, 2 in Vietnam and 1 in America. He can speak 6 languages fluently. If he speaks English, people think that he's as American as apple pie. He can also play many musical instruments, such as the lead guitar, the bass guitar, the piano, the saxophone, the flute, and the drums. Oh, I really admire him, and Lesson 3, Technique 2, Part 1. New words and expressions. Aspect, sense, aroma, propagation, obtain, migrant, vineyard, orchard, converse, perspective. Part 2. Listen and fill in the blanks. I bought my hobby farm in order to enjoy my lifelong passion for growing plants, especially fruit and vegetables. There is also the health aspect resulting from lots of exercise and, of course, a chance to get out and enjoy the sunshine and fresh air. Each season becomes clearer, and the senses are certainly sharpened by the ever-changing colors, aromas, and sounds. Learning some of the fine details of plant propagation has always been a topic of interest. Some of the most interesting information has been obtained from older migrants who spent most of their lives on vineyards and orchards. Meeting and conversing with other gardeners and like-minded people also helps to get
Lesson 6.
Technique 3, Part 1. New words and expressions. Badminton, racket, muscle, shuttlecock, opponent, back and forth, scratch. Part 2. Listen and fill in the blanks. What sports do you like to play? I want to talk about badminton because I know a little bit about it and because I have been playing it for 7 years. I love it since when I play it I have to run a lot and therefore I can train my muscles. Badminton is a very suitable sport when it comes to school sport because it is simple and it's very children-friendly rules. Now I'm playing badminton in a club near my house. I want to play there because it's very modern and the yard is made of wood. Therefore, when I fortunately fall down, I don't scratch my knees. When you play badminton, you are standing on a playing court divided by a net. You have to use a racket to send the shuttlecock to your opponent, and then the play goes back and forth. You win a point if you hit the shuttlecock over the net and into the floor of the opposite side's court. You lose a point if you hit the shuttlecock into the net or over the net but outside of the opponent's side's court. You also lose a point if, for example, the shuttlecock touches you or your clothing. Lesson 9. Technique 4, Part 1. New words and expressions. Tremendously, chubby, to claim, to proceed, to be addicted to something, to be collapsed. The most important event in my life didn't even happen to myself, but happened to my older sister, Becky. The reason I am writing about her is because the things that have happened to her and the things she has done in the past have affected me tremendously, as well as my family. Her life used to be filled with nothing else but drugs, stealing, and lying. My family has never been the same since then. It all started out when my very shy, self-conscious sister didn't really fit in well. She was 16, chubby, and had a few friends. One day, Becky's best friend Debbie introduced her to a 19-year-old guy named John. Becky and John hit it off very well and started dating by the next week. They spent all their time together. He came to our family events but was very quiet and didn't really talk to anyone besides my sister. Over the next couple of months, my family and I saw a change in Becky. She was losing lots of weight, and we questioned her, and she just claimed she was on a diet, so we thought nothing else of it. We also noticed another change in Becky. She not only lost about 30 pounds in a couple of months, but every time we talked to her, she had this look on her face that she was about to fall asleep, or at least pass out. She then proceeded to claim that she was tired. So, again, there was nothing we could do. She was addicted to drugs, and she died 2 years after that. I was really... Lesson 10. The Passive Voice. Part 2. Listen and fill in the blanks. You're late. I know, I'm sorry. I'll get right to work. I'm going to stock the shelves this morning. The shelves have already been stocked. Really? By whom? By Sandra. Sandra stocked the shelves? Okay, then I'll clean the aisles. The aisles have already been cleaned. Sandra did those too? No, they were cleaned by Jonathan. Jonathan cleaned the aisles? I see. Okay. Why don't I unload the truck? Because it has already been done too. You're kidding me. By whom? By me. You unloaded the truck? Oh, I'm sorry. You have a sore back, don't you? Yes, I do. My back has been sore since the last time you were late. I had to unload the truck that day, too. You should have had Jonathan do it. That... Lesson 12. The Tortoise and the Hare. Listen and fill in the blanks. One day, a hare was bragging about how fast he could run. He bragged and bragged, and even laughed at the tortoise who was so slow. The tortoise stretched out his long neck and challenged the hare to a race, which of course made the hare laugh even more. My, what a joke, thought the hare. A race indeed. A race. Oh, what fun, my. A race, of course, Mr. Tortoise. We will race, said the hare. The forest animals met and mapped out the course. The race began, and the hare, being such a swift runner, soon left the tortoise far behind. About halfway through the course, it occurred to the hare that he had plenty of time to beat the slow-trodden tortoise. Oh my, thought the hare, I have plenty of time to play in the meadow here. And so he did. After the hare finished playing, he decided that he had time to take a little nap. I have plenty of time to beat that tortoise, he thought, and he cuddled up against a tree and dozed. The tortoise, in the meantime, continued to plod on, albeit it's ever so slow. He never stopped, but took one good step after another. The hare finally woke up from his nap. Time to get going, he thought, and off he went, faster than he had ever run before. He dashed. Lesson 14. Part 1. Listen and fill in the blanks. My brother Tom is an engineer. He can do a lot of things. He can fix computers. He can design the interior of my house. He can play the piano very well. And he can't also do many things. He can't play the saxophone, and he can't sleep early. He's allowed by my parents to do several things. He may go out with his girlfriend. He is allowed to drink beer because he is old enough to do that. However, he's not allowed to smoke. My father says that smoking is a bad habit. He has a lot of responsibilities or obligations. He should support my family. He ought to be a good example for me. He had better get up early and exercise in the morning because he is getting fatter and fatter. He has some preferences. He would rather do without breakfast than eat instant noodles. He would rather learn Chinese than French. He may be doing a lot of things, and he may have done a lot more. He may be working on a new project in America now. He may have finished the accounting software up to now. He has some good habits and some bad ones. He's used to getting up very late, at 10 a.m. He gets used to sleeping on the floor. He gets accustomed to smoking, and now, according to him, Lesson 15. Talking about a person. Part 1. New words and expressions. Shelter. Overhang. Part 2. Listen and fill in the blanks. Have you ever loved anybody in your life? Yes, I have loved somebody once. What was she like? Well, she was young. She was 22 years old, and she went to the University of Architecture. She was very sweet. She talked sweetly. She always cared for my studies and my health, and she didn't like violence. Besides, she was very intelligent. She understood my jokes easily. She once made her friends surprised because she could even fix computers. I see. That's interesting. And what is she doing now? Well, she is working for an English school now. It's the Planet American English School. She is a secretary there. She works very hard, therefore they pay her very well. She likes to work there because she is able to practice her English. Uh-huh. Wonderful. You must have loved her very much, is that right? Of course. I loved her more than I could say. In spite of the fact that she was not very beautiful, she was very kind to me. Whenever I was sad, she stood by me to give me support. Sorry for interrupting, but I didn't catch that. All right. As I've said, whenever I was sad, she was present to make me happy. Even if I was not rich, she considered me as a good friend. She treated me as if I were her best friend. She was so sweet that she even helped my sister learn English. I see. Isn't that wonderful? According to you, did she love you very much? Absolutely. I remember the first day I met her. It was raining and I had to stop my motorcycle to look for shelter. I found a small overhang of a tailor shop, and I went in there. She had been there before me. She thoughtfully stepped aside so we could both fit the small shelter. When I said thank you, she just smiled. This was the most beautiful smile that I had ever seen. While we were waiting there, I talked to her as she listened to me carefully. As soon as it stopped raining, I followed her to her university. She gave me her phone number after I had asked her 5 times for it. I was very happy, and I told her that I would call her the next day. By the way, are you still dating her? Oh, no. We broke up last month. I was very sad. It was my fault. I made her angry when I told her that she was stupid because she couldn't speak Chinese, even though her mother was Chinese. All right. Tell me about what she can do and what she can't do. Well, she can do a lot of things. She can sing, she can play the guitar, and she can speak 3 languages. However, she can't cook meals and she can't ride a motorcycle. I see. And what is she allowed to do by her parents? She may go to the movies, but she may not stay out past 10 p.m. She must go home before 10 p.m. What advice should I give her when I talk to her? Well, she should eat more food because she is thin, and she ought to consider me seriously She had better come back to me now because I haven't gone out with other girls yet. I understand.